All right. Welcome, Ami Verma, the co-founder of Techies India. Eh, Ami, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us kind of what you do for a living and one of your passions.
Right. This is Ami Verma. I am co-founder of a software development company called Techies India Incorporated. I co-founded this company a couple of years ago. We are trying to solve problems for small, medium, and large enterprise where what we saw was a lot of over-commitment and under-delivered, and we just wanted to solve that. So e-commerce is part of our portfolio. We do work with a lot of agencies, software development companies, consultants, and merchants. My passion is to promote entrepreneurship. I am very passionate about bodybuilding. I try to spend some time in the gym. Thanks to the lockdown, I had to set up the gym at home. And I'm very passionate about picking up one sport every 2 years and trying to go to the pro level.
Good. Wow. Pro level. So there's a cricket match on right now in India, right? Are you looking at cricket next?
Cricket, I stopped watching when there's a format called IPL, which has actually commercialized the game so much. And there were a lot of, news about match fixing. So cricket was one of my favorite sport, but then hearing all these kind of news, it actually takes this sport away from the soul of the sport. So I'm not a big fan of IPL at all.
So you said you're going to try to take up and become pro. I'm just wondering if you're going to become a pro cricket player, because you could play for Australia or New Zealand or South Africa or.
No, if you want to be a cricket player in India, I think you could be 1 billionth person with the same dream. There are about a lot of people in the queue as well.
Right.
So that's a dream for another birth, I believe.
Right. Good. Well, I think we met about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe at a Magento Imagine, or maybe even at the first Meet Magento India. So you've been in the Magento community since then, at least, if not before. And I know that there's some things happening in the Magento community. In our little green room conversation, you had brought up sort of the love you felt from the Magento community that first time around. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've been talking about this a lot, not only amongst the Magento community and the friends in Magento community, but wherever we go and communicate with even my team. They're super excited about, because part of my team has attended Magento events. It comes back to the kind of love, respect Magento community gives to each other. I was amazed to look at the kind of affection that I got from people. So one of my first dream came true was to meet Kalen Jordan, right, and Phil Jackson. So they were like, I started following Magento community on Twitter, and these guys were like the superstars of the community. And when I met them, they were like, hey, Ami, how are you? How are you doing? This and that. And they were like, we were just engaged in the communication like we are friends from last about 15 years. Where else can you get this kind of love? And till date, there are a lot of people, if I start naming them and I put it on LinkedIn, a lot of people send me messages, hey, you didn't tag us at all. We were there too. So, I saw the competitors standing next to each other and complimenting each other on their growth. I've never seen it. I've been to conferences, like I said, the very black tie events, and where people come up with a lot of egos in. I think the Magento community is blessed where love rules rather than the egos talk to each other.
Yeah, that's a great description. Love rules. I'm writing that down right now. So you were at the first Meet Magento event in Ahmedabad, or when I've seen you've come to Meet Magento India, right?
We were I think 2019 or probably 2020 was our first event. We met in Bombay, and we contributed a bit as a little sponsors too.
Yeah, okay. So why would, like, looking into the future and having more events, why would any Magento, or why would an Indian developer want to attend a Meet Magento event?
I think it's to be very true with you, when I started going to Magento Imagine, I had a totally different bent of mind on probably I think I represent a lot of Indian agencies and software companies, freelancers who may think that they go to Magento Imagine and make a lot of contacts and try to close the projects and do that. But I think I learned it very, very quickly that this is not the place where you do it. This is the place of relationships where you learn a lot, how to interact, how people are talking to each other. Business will come today or day after, whenever you find a fit. So it is very important for anyone, especially from India and Indians who some of us are, can't travel to that part of the world. Some of us still call, we call the senior person as sir. We're very formal because of being the British colony. And, there's a lot of cultural gap. I think if we start attending Magento events, specifically Meet Magento, that gap can be, filled with the kind of interactions take place at Meet Magento events.
Yeah.
So I think I'll highly recommend the Magento developers, agencies from India, or probably anywhere, to know each other, shake hands, know about the tech advancements. I'm non-tech. I'm an MBA International Finance. So I made good connections out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because I know that it's been hard to get non-technical people to attend these events. Why would a non-technical person attend a Meet Magento event?
See, like I said, I learned a lot in my business as well. One of the major reasons for our growth is what I've learned from Magento community, right? I would rather sit with a person who actually welcomes me, asks me to sit on table, and does not matter what size of business I own, but the ideas are welcome on table, and then you have to make the other person feel like yourself. And I think this is what I've learned from Magento community. Whenever I go to other conferences, or I'm a chairman of a young organization called Indian Entrepreneurs Collective. So it is solely founded on promoting entrepreneurship. A lot of other associations in India, I will name them, the big wigs, they actually, they've got different way of welcoming people. And what I learned from Meet Magento and Magento conferences is actually replicated in IC, where it doesn't matter if you're a member or not, if you're a guest or what. Even the chairman stands at the door and meets the guest with open arms, right? And we're breaking the barrier there and then. This is what I've learned from Magento community, and this is making a lot of impact in my personal life as well.
Yeah, I remember the first year that Mark Lavelle was CEO of Magento. He showed up for the Big Dam Run, and he did the whole thing. He actually went farther. I think he ran to the dam, and the next day he saw me and whispered in my ear. He said, "Thanks a lot. My legs hurt like crap."
No, I attended Big Dam Run as well.
Yeah.
And I prepared for it for 3 months. I do weight training. I do cardio for about 30 minutes. But you are the guys who actually made me run for about 60 or 80 minutes each day so that I can prep for that.
Yeah,
and I was still breathless when I finished it.
That's good. I mean, I think, part of the magic of the Magento community is that every event's not a commercial event. And I think what you said earlier about how maybe sponsors shouldn't always, you shouldn't expect that it's going to be an event where you're going to get hundreds of leads or something like that. It is a relationship event, and that's an investment in the future. And I've always looked at the Big Damn Run as the Big Damn Run is more of a outlet for people to talk when you're outside of that sort of structured community. And I think the events aren't exactly structured, but they are. You have certain expectations when you attend an event. When you're out in the desert and you're just talking to somebody, and if you have the pleasure of running with them, a lot more conversations come up that are completely different than the conversation that you'd have in a hotel ballroom.
Very, very true. I think the kind of environment I've seen, I've run about 2 runs, I believe, if not one. I met a lot of people there. I mean, the kind of I went there with the preparation that I'll win, right? That's a life lesson for me as well. Whatever preparation you do, there are other players who are prepping hard for the event, right? So what you could be at your best, but still there's someone who's doing better than you always, right? So I think Phil won that event. Phil was the first one, and he was like, "Hey, I'm running 2.5 times faster than you." I said, "Okay, Phil, I'll give it up to you."
Yeah. Yes, I believe Philip Jackson did win that year. It's fun, and there's a competitive side to it too, but it's a fun competitive side. It's not like what you were, I think, in the green room. You also kind of alluded to the fact that we're all competitors, but we're all working together, and we're all at this event, and part of this is building that community. And I think any Meet Magento event you go to, it's organized by the community for the community. So that is something that is a little unique to us. And it's not like you go to a Shopify event and there's a Meet Shopify or something that's put on by a completely independent organization that doesn't have anything to do with Shopify. These events are truly something that's put on for the benefit of the community itself.
Yeah, the kind of impact Magento, Imagine, and the community left on me in 2018. I was so much in love with community and understanding more about the ecosystem that in 2018 I did not miss even a single Meet Magento event across the globe. Can you beat that?
Wow! So you went to all of them.
All of them. I wanted to know that if somebody is behaving at Imagine differently, or it is the way it is. And thankfully, it was every time it was warmer, lovelier, more, welcoming. And I'm so thankful to everyone.
Yeah. So one question then, let's just say Meet Magento India happens in person in 2023 and Ben Marks isn't there. Are you still going to go?
Why not? I mean, even if he's physically not there, he's already there, I think.
Right.
He's done so much for the community. He's an amazing friend, always pushes me, inspires me in different ways and sends me messages all the time when I work out. And I think the beauty of community is does not matter what brand you've gone with. What matters is what are you giving back? And Ben has given back a lot to the community.
Yeah.
So even if he's not there, he will always be there.
Yeah, and it was sort of a joke. Ben is always the superstar at the Meet Magento India event, and I hope he shows up. One of my last events before that, one of my last live events in 2019 was the Mage Unconference in Germany, and the Shopware people showed up to that event, and they did a presentation.
Right.
And it's ironic now that Ben is with Shopware, so it'll be fun to see Ben at new Shopware events.
T-shirt.
Yeah. Actually, I had my T-shirt on the other day with Ben on it. Don't edit the core, and I was thinking about renaming it something like "Did you already switch to Shopware?" I think we could just rename the T-shirt with him on it still. So
Ben and me used to have the same straps because I'm in love with the orange.
Oh, sure.
And Ben, so I sent a tweet or probably a direct message to Ben that day and said, hey, I saw your T-shirt. I didn't see the watch strap. And then he was like, sent me a message. This is the watch strap that he's doing. He's changed it to blue now.
Yeah, I bet. I had a orange watch strap as well for my watch, but unfortunately I bought the off-brand one and it broke. So I'm back to the standard black watch strap for my Garmin.
Yeah. You are pro in running. I know you require much more than what Apple Watch to offer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say pro. I would say enthusiast. How's that? So you alluded to some of the other platforms, and this is not a Magento show. This is a e-commerce show. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in other software platforms.
So, one of the core values we have at Techies India Incorporated is we are a customer loyal company. We probably are not a platform loyal company. So we've been analyzing the client's requirement, and we sometimes saw that one platform isn't suitable, for their requirements, but we were too busy in Magento that we couldn't see the other side. It's kind of, very strange that we've got media buying business division as well. And most of our business comes from the Shopify and Shopify Plus customers. We only have 2 Magento clients who are, spending on Google Ads and Facebook ads with us, and we probably have 1 from Ecommerce. And probably more than 90% business comes from the merchants who are on Shopify and Shopify Plus. And we signed up their media buying business, and lately they wanted to shift their tech retainerships to us as well. So that's when it's about nearly 1.5 years ago that we started doing Shopify and Shopify Plus. And about a year ago, we got into BigCommerce, and we are now BigCommerce certified partners and aiming for the premier ones.
Yeah, I think
we do big.
I think that's an ongoing theme right now, especially as there's so many differentiators in a platform, and you don't necessarily want to go with an all-you-can-eat platform. Having a specific platform that fits your business need is a smart idea as a business owner. And I think the days of having the Magento-only agency, I think as from a growth standpoint, you do struggle a little bit in finding the right client that you need for that. And then the worry is that you're going to force a client into a solution that they don't exactly need.
Yep.
So tell us.
I think it's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. I think for the merchants and for agencies, the more platforms are there, the better for the merchants. Actually, all the agencies should work for the betterment of the merchant and growth of the merchant, and agency will automatically grow. I still remember my interaction with Todd from Overdose Digital in Meet Magento, Singapore. And he actually, again, probably a competition, but then we were sitting together and he said, Amy, you shouldn't be only Magento company, and there are other platforms you should look into. And I took that advice and said, that was an amazing advice. And then when I came back, I met Ali from Imagination Media. And Ali told me the same thing. He said, Amy, you should also do Shopify and BigCommerce. Probably they're doing Demandware builds as well. We may explore that later, 2023, 2024. But those are the advices came from someone who's already very successful, and they shared that with me, and they've shown me the path.
Yeah, we took on BigCommerce last year, and it has been, it definitely offering clients a solution that works for them specifically, I think is is a really good service that you should be offering all your clients. So you mentioned Meet Magento Singapore. You were in 2019 Meet Magento Singapore?
2018 probably.
Okay. Yeah, I went to the one in 2019, and that was such a fantastic event and so well put on. Renosys does such a great job at that.
They do an amazing job, yes.
The market in Singapore is a little bit different than the market in India, but it's also very similar. Maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
So technically, our problem is we don't work with Indian clients. So none of our client is from India. So majorly into services exports for software companies, agencies, and merchants who are, with much respect to my countrymen and the businesses. I don't think so. We've worked with anyone in e-commerce except one we did in 2015. That also came from a client reference in Hong Kong, and then we did it for them. That was Magento 1 build in 2015, and then we developed the POS system for them as well using Magento APIs. So my knowledge about Indian commerce is a bit limited, but I know what's happening and what are the percentages, how it's growing. But my knowledge interacting with the Indian merchants is very limited.
Right. And you do a lot of business in Australia. What is you had mentioned earlier about the record lockdown. How are you seeing business there?
So the e-commerce business has grown multi-fold in Australia and New Zealand both. A lot of people. I still have a partner company who owns a big agency out there. They've outgrown themselves. I mean, probably 3 or 4 times, and they do Shopify, they do Magento, they don't do big commerce, but they do WooCommerce, and they've started sending emails to the clients. Hey, you have to wait for at least 5-6 months for us to take on the new project, and they're trying to scale with us. The market is growing like anything because you're in lockdown. You have to order your clothing, you have to order your food, you have to order your groceries, and then the kind of scare it was in people's mind when the first lockdown started, it's still there in Australia. This morning, the New South Wales government announced that they're going out of lockdown. They're opening the international borders. So probably just the New South Wales government, not the other states. I think which is good news. Melbourne is still in lockdown. They're probably 279 days plus in the lockdown. You can't go beyond 5 kilometers from the area that you reside in, and if you have to apply for some pass, and then it requires about 6-7 days to get it. So I think the Australian businesses have suffered who haven't gone into the e-commerce side. They've started exploring that now.
Yeah, I think they have to explore it now.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned earlier that you're doing a lot of PPC work for Shopify, for Magento. Well, not for Magento, but mainly for Shopify. What sort of advice would you give a merchant now who's, if they want to, like, if their only choice is, they're in Australia, their only choice is they have an e-commerce store, how are they going to get business? Is PPC the way to do it?
I think there are a lot of smart things that a merchant can do. There's Google ads, there's Facebook and Instagram ads. Depends on the kind of product you're selling. So B2B, I think Google ads work better, and B2C and D2C, Facebook and Instagram have got exponential results for our clients. And I think they should try, if you're in clothing, fashion accessories, and the nutritional supplements, these categories, you should go with Facebook ads first and then try Google ads. But if you're B2B, try with Google ads first and then go to Facebook ads.
And how about LinkedIn ads? How about I'm sure for the B2B market, LinkedIn ads work good?
We've tried it, but the results are not that great, to be very true with you.
I think, too, that by country is a little different. So in Mexico, Facebook is big and Instagram is big. So it also, I suppose, depends by country. You're helping clients in multiple countries. How do you kind of keep up with what is good in each country?
So major business comes from the United States, Canada, and then Australia and New Zealand. So we work with the majorly clothing, premium and high fashion companies. We've taken a client about somewhere in March, and within 7 weeks, we were able to add additional revenue of $1 million only through Facebook ads. They couldn't do it with other agencies earlier. I don't know what was the problem, but Facebook ads did wonders for them. And today, I think we are in the 6th month of servicing them, about $9.5 million of additional revenue so far, only through Facebook ads. I'm not counting Google ads yet.
Wow, that's fantastic success. So what do you recommend? So as a new business who wants to get started, you would first help them figure out what their market is, and then just choose the platform and do some testing on it. Do you recommend A/B testing and all those things?
Yeah, so technically it depends on a lot of depends on the kind of market you are in, the kind of products you want to sell, the kind of pricing you want to come up with, what kind of competition you have. So I'll tell you a case study. One of our client is from New York, and they are the largest face mask producers in the world, about 19 factories across the globe. They sold at least $30 million of face masks on Amazon each quarter. When COVID-19 started, Amazon blocked them. Google, they were not taking the word mask. Facebook denied it. The accounts were blocked, right? And then the client was referred to us by one of the partner agencies, and then we started working on it. In the very first hour, we said we can't do it. And then because we are a Google partner agency, we've got direct access to Google executives. They've assured us that they should be a way around. These are the things that you should do. And we've asked our client to, because he has his own internal tech team. So we've changed their landing pages. We've changed the content. We've removed the masks, face mask, and whatnot. There are different words they were not taking. And then we tried to run some ads. Within about 8 hours, the ads were approved, which his internal team couldn't do it from last about 4 or 5 weeks. And the very first sale that we got was about $8,200. The face masks worth $8,200. The very first ad from Facebook, and they're still going very strong. I think A/B testing, be it landing pages, be it your SEO, be it your Google ads, be it your Facebook ads, if you're not doing A/B testing, you're losing a lot of money. You're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, wow, that's a great story. Looking at the kind of businesses that are stuck in lockdown in, say, in Australia, what type of products are you seeing that are successful right now selling, or is it everything?
Clothing. I mean, people. I think people are buying clothing like anything, and that too, I'm talking about premium clothing. One thing about India shopped a lot of luxury during the lockdown, right? And Australia, they're putting a lot of money. Even in that case, we've got about 7 clients who are in clothing for men and women, pricing around $30 to $90, t-shirts and shorts and other accessories. Their growth is probably double digit, month on month. So people bought a lot of clothing in-house. People bought a lot of sunglasses. People bought a lot of shampoos, face masks, and people bought a lot of beauty products, even perfumes.
And how about the Amazon factor? You mentioned, the Amazon blocked that one client. Are you setting up ads to go to Amazon directly, or do you depend on? And I believe you can build out ads directly in Amazon as well, right?
Yes, we don't do Amazon at all.
And in Amazon, I know when I was last in India, Amazon Prime is a thing now, and delivery is always a challenge. Is Amazon Prime still a thing in India itself?
It's all right. Things have normalized. Yes, initially something you're too excited about, and then it becomes part of your routine. So yes, there are a lot of deliveries coming in from Amazon Prime. I'm an Amazon Prime member as well, but no fancy.
And I would imagine around where you live, then the weightlifting equipment went crazy.
Yes. The story again. I thought the lockdown is going to be for about 2-3 weeks when we started, about 16th of March 2020, and I bought light equipment, the rubber plates, and lockdown was not lifted for about 4 weeks, and I'm a heavy lifter, right? So I thought this is like, my kids can do the kind of weights I'm doing, and the price that was quoted to me was about 9 times the price I usually get. There's a French company, I think you may have heard about them as well, called Decathlon.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Right. So if you walk in Decathlon in India earlier, they were after your life to sell you products. But I called up Decathlon. I wanted a treadmill. They said sold out, sir. Everywhere it's sold out. So it changed things for a lot of merchants where they had to spend a lot of ads. They had to hire a lot of salespeople to go after the client, and suddenly lockdown and everyone was ordering online on Decathlon, and products were like out of stock. And I was like scratching my eyes. Is it like Decathlon.in or is it like Decathlon.com? So weightlifting, yes, it's still going strong, but the prices are getting okay now.
Yeah. So, just kind of switching into how we relieve our stress at work. I know that you're a big lifter, and I see you on social media all the time, inspiring people to get out and exercise. What could you tell somebody? Why do you choose to do something like that and not just sit at your desk all day?
I think physical health is one thing, but mental health is very important for you. If you're sitting around your desk all day, probably your productivity goes down every 35 minutes. So you have to get up, walk at least, and then if you want to be very productive at work next day, you have to do something other than work, right? So like in my game, they said people think that body is built during the 1 hour of the gym. It's not. You just exercise for 1 hour. The body is built what to do outside the gym, right? And the same way, the strategies are probably executed on diary when you're sitting on the desk. But when you've got a lot of me time, you get a lot of ideas, innovation, going in your mind. And then, and I think you pick up any sport, be it bodybuilding, whatever, be it running, it requires a framework. It gives you a step by step. You can't be, Mr. Bolt the next day you start running. So there's a procedure, there's a strategy that you require to reach that level. And that's what you learn in your business. Doesn't matter you're an entrepreneur, you're the head of delivery, you're the head of quality assurance team, or you're the sales manager. These things, if you have any support, you actually graduate to next level, and that reflects on your work. That's why it is important.
Yeah, and I know you hear a lot from entrepreneurs who brag about working 12 or 16 hours a day, and I think you're exactly right. So you said you're on the board or the chairman of India Entrepreneurs Collective. What do you tell younger entrepreneurs that who believe that the only way they're going to be successful is to work 16 hours a day?
If you have your cholesterol levels rising, your heartbeat and blood pressure, and probably you're on the verge of diabetes, you know, and you don't get yourself checked up, you don't know, you've never got yourself tested, and you're sitting on your desk thinking that, there'll be an email from venture capitalists offering you $200 million, just like that. It won't happen. I don't know. I'm still to meet someone who's very wealthy and he's not exercising, he's not meditating. I met, you name who's who, because of the associations, the management associations, or the kind of schools and business schools I went to. I've met billion-dollar entrepreneurs, and they say, Amy, if you don't meditate, if you don't work out, you're never going to make it. And all these guys, I don't know who are these guys talking about 18 hours a day. I mean, they're not humans. They're just misleading you.
Yeah, I had the pleasure. When I would normally go to Ahmedabad, and I joined the Ahmedabad Distance Running Club, and so we run when I'm there. And most of the people in the running club are professionals who have realized that they sit a lot, and at some point they become heavy. They're doctors, lawyers, architects, this type of profession, and they realize that they're becoming heavier, and they need to do something to relieve them of that extra weight. So I think running and exercise does that, but there's one more component that people often overlook is the mental component, where you can use that time, and lifting weights is exactly the same. I know my wife likes to lift weights because she has to concentrate on how many reps she does, and that gets her away from concentrating on spinning about something else. I like to run and get out and just have some free time in my head to think about something. The worst thing that can happen is that you have a great idea that you forgot about while you're out there running, or if you were in the gym. But you can always carry a little electric recorder or your phone and make a note. But so I think you're right, and just I'm in Entrepreneurs Organization, and there's one that's global, and that's a big thing that they talk about, is making sure that you have mental health along with your physical health, along with your professional health. There's a lot of aspects to it that we need to take care of, and I know that I always look to you. You're an inspiration in that balance. Let's call it balancing. How do you balance your life? Because meditation is important, and part of doing exercise is meditation.
It is, and I know a lot of people don't talk about it. It has become a fashion to talk about the number of hours you work, and people are actually thinking that it's fashionable to tell someone that, hey, I slept in the office. To me, that reflects that you are so incompetent to, deliver in 8 hours, that you had to spend about 16 hours to do that. And for me, one of the amazing personalities India has given to the world, Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam, our ex-president, he used to say, if you haven't completed your work by 5:30, there are chances that you won't be able to complete by 5:30 a.m. Doesn't matter how much time you spend in the office. And your productivity goes down after 8 hours. I don't know, how can you should be on very heavy meds or some drugs to concentrate. Otherwise, it's very inhuman to work 16 hours a day. I can't believe that.
Yeah, I read a book called Rest, R-E-S-T, and I can put the title in the show notes. And John Woodall from Space 48 turned me onto the book. And in the book, they go through a lot of case studies of people that worked either 4 hours or 8 hours or 12 hours. And really, the most productive time, you have a productive time as a human, and typically that productive time is only 4 hours a day. So if you can capture that 4 hours and work that 4 hours, then the rest of the day is yours to do with what you wish to do with it. And I think the funny part is that around the turn of the century, the English specifically, if you worked at all, that means that you're one class lower than the people that don't work, right? If you don't work at all, that's the quintessential bragging point that in the Victorian times, that's what you tried to do. You didn't have to work.
Yep.
And now it suddenly has turned from, well, I'm not working because I don't have to I'm going to work 16 hours a day because I don't have to. But I have this passion for it.
Yes, and part of the things that we've founded IEC, Indian Entrepreneurs Collective, was a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't have mentors who can come to them and tell them, hey, you know what, you're going through a rough phase? That's fine. I've gone through that as well. I travel a lot. I travel, sometimes I'm alone and traveling from New Delhi to somewhere in Peru, right? And it's about 36 plus hours. I'm at a point where even the first class lounge does not attract me. I try not to, if someone can fly me down directly to Peru, I'll be happy to do that. I think entrepreneurship is a very lonely, people don't talk about it. It's a very lonely thing. The kind of pressure you have to take care, you have to sign up new clients because you have to catch up with your payroll, and then you have to record growth. You can't talk about this to your colleagues. Yes, if you're very lucky to have the founder members of the team with you, you can, but if you go one step ahead, they may think you're not stable. So I think it's very, very lonely kind of, people fancy entrepreneurship a lot. And I don't want to discourage anyone who's listening to it. It's an amazing thing to have. But, people need to be told that, what the kind of phase they're going through, it happened. It happened with me. I didn't have money to pay salaries, and I don't brag about it. I tell people, whomsoever I meet, it's an amazing thing. But you should have something other than business to go to, be it running, be it cycling, be it weightlifting, because that's the time when you achieve even a little bit. If you've done a kilometer of running, that's like a certain achievement. You may be struggling in business, but if you've run 1 kilometer, that positivity reflects in your work as well. And you're at a point where your mind and your subconscious trying to convince you, if you can do this, but you can do this too. I think it is very important for successful entrepreneurs like you, probably about to be successful entrepreneurs like me, to talk to the aspiring entrepreneurs like, hey, we've been there. These are the problems. Don't worry. If we have done it, you can do it too.
Yeah, and I think just most entrepreneur organizations have that outlet. Like in EO, we have a small group that we meet every month, and we also have an accelerator group for young entrepreneurs to help them and mentor them. And that's such an important part.
You've got EO Forum, right?
Yeah, EO Forum.
You meet every.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I was about to be part of the EO in 2016. One of my friends is chairman of EO. I know EO and YPO very closely, but because of my travel, my friend advised me not to be part of it because the forum meetings, some percentage you have to attend, and if you don't, then you don't qualify for X, Y things. But amazing things I've heard about EO. I even heard the founder, I forgot his name, at one of my class in Harvard.
Yeah.
He came and talked about,
Okay, fantastic.
I forgot his name. He's an amazing guy, yeah.
Yeah, and EO in India is fairly popular, and Mumbai is especially hard to get into.
Yep.
I know they have a very long waiting list. So.
Yep.
So we have a couple minutes left. What sort of things do you read nowadays to keep up with times? How do you keep up with what's happening? Especially you're doing business all over the world. It's so interesting that that you have your hands out everywhere. That you have to keep up with all those. What are you doing to do that?
So I spent a lot of time when I was struggling in business about a decade ago. The only thing that I've befriended was books. So how inspiring it is to read someone who's gone through a bad phase and achieved a lot. Again, that thing, if someone has done it, I think that reflects that you can do it too. A lot of your friends, your childhood friends, or friends you have around when you're struggling, they won't be able to give you advice, but then books speak to you. One of the books that made an amazing impact on me being an entrepreneur is The Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. And, I was so hooked to that book when I started reading first in 2016 that I couldn't sleep before finishing 2 or 3 chapters. And it was like, I am living Phil Knight's life. And he has gone through so much. And, that assured me that, if you're going through rough phase, someone else has gone through that as well. These days, I'm reading Richard Koch's book called Unreasonable Success. And he talks about a lot of people who became successful and what kind of common traits they have. And it actually, I'll share a story that he talks about. The Prime Minister, Mr. Churchill, he said Churchill's dad was some kind of bureaucrat in the UK government, and a lot of would-be prime ministers used to visit his place. And one fine day, Churchill must have been about 14 or 15, and someone was visiting his dad in the drawing room, and these guys were out in the outhouse and talking. Out of nowhere, Mr. Churchill shared with his friend that, I'm going to be an amazing figure, a very important figure in the history of UK, and I'll save UK one fine day. This was his words, right? And see what he has done in 1940, became prime minister, actually saved the UK and became very popular. So, it's an amazing book. I'm still halfway through, but I do make it a point that I read something or the other at least each day, at least 10 pages.
Yeah, and there, I think you bring up a really good point that there's so much inspiration that you can get if you look outside of what you're doing. I'm reading a book. I just read a book called Life is a Marathon by Matt Fitzgerald, and it's not about running; it's about life. It's about how you live your life, and there's so many cross parallels between everything. And learning about leaders, what they've done, and their inspiration, I think it's a good lesson that everybody can take. That they shouldn't just concentrate on business; they should be looking at what other people are doing, and a lot of that affects what you're doing in business, and how you live your life and what you do in your life and the values that you have are all reflected in that, and that's so important.
Yeah, that's very true.
So as we close up here, I give everybody a chance to do a shameless plug, which means you can promote anything you would like. What would you like to plug today?
I don't know. My American English, I'm quite weak in understanding American slangs. Like, I've asked you, what do you mean by plugging this or that? We've been a British colony, and then we are probably on the British side of slangs in these things. I would rather, like to share that, doesn't matter you're an entrepreneur, what level you are in the business, or you are head of delivery, or you're an entrepreneur. I think it's very important for you to know that you should have a plan. And if you haven't achieved it so far, that doesn't mean it's the end, right? And I've seen a lot of people getting stressed. So one of the meetings that we've recently done, we've invited a celebrity entrepreneur for India whose mission is to create 1 million entrepreneurs. He was the first one who created a high fashion e-commerce company in India. And, he said, I meet a lot of people who are building the business because they want to get evaluated and valued more than $100 million to $200 million. And he met a guy there who talked about, hey, I'm so surprised how the other companies are getting about $100 million and $200 million, and I'm still struggling. And, this guy spoke to me. He said, Amy, I gave this guy about 2 minutes to talk to me, and I'm the venture capitalist. He didn't talk about the beautiful idea he's working on. he talked about how he is unable to get $200 million. So is he in business to get $200 million, or is he in business because that excites him, right? So I think you got to really sort these things out. There's a lot of valuation bubble around, and a lot of people are not selling their companies. A lot of them do because of those things. It's I wouldn't say it's good or bad, but then depends on the kind of situation you are. It is very important to know the reality. I mean, you should switch off social media sometimes at least. People are talking a lot. Think about someone who built an electric vehicle and talks about a Dogecoin or Dogcoin and played with a lot of emotions. So there's a lot of things people have achieved and try to play with your mind. It's time to calm down and play your own game.
Yeah, that's words well said. Yeah, thank you for that. I did recently watch, there's a show in the U.S. called Ted Lasso, and he's this coach that goes to England. It's on Apple TV.
Apple TV.
I highly recommend it. And I'm paraphrasing, but one of the advice that was given in the show, it wasn't by Ted, but it was by the owner of the club, of the football club, that a good mentor is somebody that expects a mentee to go off on their own. Like, even if they're an employee, but you're mentoring them to become an entrepreneur, that as an employer, that you at some point expect them to go on their own and do their own thing. And I think from anyone that is being a mentor, or anybody that's an entrepreneur that wants to help out other entrepreneurs, the expectation should be, even if they work for you, that someday they're going to go on their own, and that you should wish them well, and that you should wish them all the best success, because there's a whole world of business, and having that success from you, knowing that you've helped them and guided them, is such a great achievement.
It is, and you can only reach to that level, that mental level, if you read, if you interact, if you meet people. And I was lucky enough to meet people in Magento community who were very open and acted as mentors to me. Right? It again, I said, if you start naming them, it'll take another 45 minutes to do it. The kind of impact you guys have on me. And even though a lot of my team members haven't traveled, haven't met, but then, they know you by name, everyone. I mean, if I tell them, hey, this is Brent, this is TJ, this is this and that, they'll let you know what you've done, what are you doing these days, right? And I think a lot of it, what you said, is amazing, but, that again depends how much you go out, what kind of people you meet, what kind of books you read, what kind of TV content you watch, and what kind of people you get connected to.
Yeah, it's so very true. Ami Verma, the co-founder of Techies India. Thank you for being on the show today. It's been such a pleasure to meet you, or not talk to you. We've met before. I didn't mean that. I hope to meet you soon again. I hope we're at the same. I hope there's an Adobe event that's live. Actually, you know what? We're putting on a unconference in Orlando, Florida. It's going to be in person in January of 2022. So who knows? Maybe you'll be traveling again.
I'll be in the U.S. Because one of our partners are doing amazing events somewhere in January, and they are doing it in Orlando too.
Oh, fantastic. I hope it's not the exact same time and date. We're looking at January 21st. So anyways.
They are between 15th to 18th. So
good. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see each other. Great. Have a great evening. I thank you so much for staying up late today. It was such a pleasure speaking to you.
It's an honor to speak to you, sir.
Thank you. Oh, there we go.